What's up, friends? Your boy's got his mojo back on the sticks, finally. After not flying for like 2+ months. This is my 4th or 5th day out, and I finally feel like I can fly again. My name is Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. And yeah, that was like I don't know, an hour ago at Stables, one of my favorite local spots. In the chat, Wooden Props, Chomper FPV, Cowboy Roy, Chopper we've got Chomper and Chopper in here. I thought I was seeing things. B-Man FPV, BH Hitting, Todd Tube, CMYK is here, Doglife UK, Alexander, Josh P, Huff 19, Freelojo, Todd Tube again, B-Man again, Free Range Chicken, Test Pilot ERB, Tweet FPV is in the house. What's up, Dan? The Ringer 1976, he's gonna be on our combat team, Velocitron combat team. Odd Yard, License to Drive, Rick Cepeda, Matthew Vega, and Elise Lapalme. What's up, friends? If you get in here early enough and you leave a combat, I will say your name, and then you can feel special. But you're all special to me. I love every single one of you. Hold on, let me pause this to get the computer running a little bit better here. And if you'd like to talk directly to me in this stream, because the majority of these Monday night streams are Q&A based, all you've got to do is type CiottiFPV into the chat. CMYK did it right here. He put an @ in front of it so that it would autofill, but you don't have to. As long as you type CiottiFPV, it'll light up in orange, and then I'll know you're talking. Oh my god, I threw up a little bit. I will know that you're talking to me. Otherwise, I'll assume that you guys are talking to each other because the chat comes along with the live stream. So behave, because sometimes 1,000-ish people will watch the replays of these live streams. So, you know, you're here with me. I'm the one that got duped into pointing the camera at himself. But, you know, say good things in the chat and we'll all build the wonderful community of FPV together. If you'd like to support me, you can do that by heading on over to CiottiFPV.com. There's a million different things that you can do. The Patreon helps me the most. It's going to cost you $3 whole to join it. You're going to get daily live streams for joining. You're going to get access to my Discord and all of the channels over there. Why don't I have the... Hold on. There we go. You're going to get a whole bunch of tech articles that I've written in there around filtering, PID tuning, all kinds of good stuff. I post up clearance deals when I find them. For $3 a month, I bet you'll save more money than what it costs you to join. That's as hard of a pitch as I can do. Bunch of other links in here. YouTube, Instagram, I'm CiottiFPV all over the place. Over on my Etsy store, I've got a whole bunch of really fun stickers. We've got Clam Man, we've got the Nut Grabber sticker, we've got some matte, we've got some holographic, there's this super cool holographic one, there's the collective, there's even a magnet for the inside of the tailgate of your car, so that when you open your tailgate, there's a bunch of your favorite pilots. You don't have to advertise us on the outside of your car, where thieves will steal our stickers because they're so valuable. I've even got a new one here based on my sort of like signature that I figured out, which is unclear, which I still need to take pictures of and get up on the Etsy store. I'm over on Fiverr doing flight instruction, tuning, video editing, helping you spec out your build. So if you want me to work for you, I'm more than willing to, and I would actually love it. I finally wrote the About Me section, 3 whole sentences, for my website, fpvinstructor.com, and got it on over to Andre. And yeah, so he's going to be spending some time, so pretty soon I'll be off of Fiverr, and fpvinstructor.com will be a thing. And yeah, I think about it, guys. Look, I come from this world of motorsports where I was a driving instructor to help people go faster, have more fun, be safer at the racetrack for a little over 10 years. FPV is even harder than driving quickly on track. And something in the world of motorsports is instruction. Like, it is understood that if you want to go faster, regardless of how fast you already are, if you want to go even faster, you put somebody in the passenger seat so that while you're doing all the things and getting thrown around the car, they can just like look at you and look at your hands and see if you're too fast with your hands, look at your feet, make sure you're holding yourself in the car properly, make sure that your eyes are up, looking far ahead enough. There's a million different things that instructors can help you with. I know that it's like never been really talked about in FPV, but like, you went to school, right? You had a bunch of teachers, right? Those were instructors. So yeah, I want to help you guys. I've worked with a whole bunch of students so far, and they've all had an absolute blast, and I've literally watched them get better as we've worked together for a half an hour, or whatever it may be. So yeah, check it out. Like I said, I want to work for you guys. I know this is work. But I love like working directly with you guys one-on-one, be that learning to fly better, learning to spec out your builds better, right? I've got 4.5 years blowing up micro components. I don't think you're going to find anybody else that has. Why not buy the right components the first time rather than wasting 50 or 60 bucks over and over and over and over and over again? Some t-shirts over at Teespring. And then a bunch of affiliate links. This FPV Exchange link actually will bring you to all the stuff that I'm selling on FPV Exchange. Some used stuff, some like my stickers from Etsy. And then a whole bunch of affiliate links here, right? This won't cost you a damn thing. If you find yourself doing an order on FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, FPV Crate, Banggood, AliExpress, or Camera Butter, if you hit one of these affiliate links before you check out, I will make 6% of your order for nothing. You can still use a coupon code. You can still get free shipping. There's kind of no reason to do it other than forgetting, which is what I always do. I forget to use my own affiliate links. It's terrible. So if you forget, I don't blame you for even a second, because I can't even remember to use my own. But if you guys do remember, I will love you forever, because it's just free money, man, and then I just spend it on more stuff here to do more testing and whatnot. And then of course there's some buttons down here that YouTube likes it when you click. You don't have to, but you know, you can. All right, I've kept the lights on by selling myself, and let's move on. Here's another. Let me draw your attention to one more thing on CiottiFPV.com. The very last link is BattleBots info. So if you have any questions about the BattleBots shenanigans, just click this button, and your answers will be entered. What? Your answers will be entered. What? Your questions will be answered. Usually, like, I'll say a word that sounds like the word, but those were just different words. I mean, I am turning 40 next month, so maybe I'm just getting old. In the chat, Chomper tagged me and said hello. B-Man tagged me and said, you got me buying, panic buying Vistas. CMYK saying, what's up? CMYK, I'm making you a moderator. CMYK and I are going to be working on some really cool designs for t-shirts, for my logo. We're doing some really cool stuff. He is a very talented graphic designer. I don't know if he has time to do commissions. I know that he's super busy with his job. But if you guys are in need of a graphic designer to make you a cool logo or just anything graphic design related, hit up CMYK. I'm just going to keep saying that until he tells me to stop. Alexander says, now I have 20 Vistas, all your fault. Free Range Chicken says, what's up, all? So for anybody wondering about the Vista situation, my best friend in the world, Brad McManus, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd mentioned to him about the chip shortage that I'd heard about on Joshua's channel from people in the chat. And he's like, I haven't heard of that. What are you talking about? And then the next time we talked, he's like, dude, I looked into it. It's real. And then the next time I talked to him, which was a few days ago, he was like, dude, it might be a 3-year shortage. Like, it's looking crazy. It takes like billions of dollars to build these foundries, and it takes them like 3 years to become able to actually make a functioning chip or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that's nuts. I didn't look it up. I've known Brad forever. He's a really smart dude. He works in IT. I trust him. I don't find it necessary to fact check him. I never have. somebody mentioned the Vista in Joshua's chat just now, and without thinking, I said, hey, you might want to snag one right now. The chip shortage looks, there's a chance the chip shortage will be like 3 years long. I just wasn't thinking. I shouldn't have said anything. Joshua, I'm one of Joshua's moderators, so my name shows up in blue. He saw that I'd said that, and he read it aloud. And then chat and some certain individual people turned on me. And that, as I've spoken to you guys about many times, that I'm a sensitive person. I have a really hard time with mental illness. I have really nasty depression and anxiety that just keep getting worse and worse. Shout out to Michael Rollins. I did an interview with him Tuesday last week, and we spent an hour and a half talking about it. Yeah, that shit really bothers me. So I just had to jump out of Joshua's chat. And I don't know. This is like a couple times in a row that I've gotten sort of turned on and over there. So I don't know how much time I'm gonna really spend it on his live streams anymore. Just because, yeah, it just really negatively affects me when people just stomp all over me. Go figure. I'm human. I don't know what else to say. It's something that I'm working on, but I don't know. Think about the last time somebody shit all over you. Did it feel great? Were you able to just smile and go, oh, no, that's okay? Doesn't feel good, right? Like, it messes you up. And, like, when that happens right before this stream, that's not really fair to you guys. Like, I don't want to be having this. Actually, I'm going to stop this conversation right now because it's just dumb, and that's not what this is about. Test Pilot ERB saying hello. Free Range Chicken saying what's up. FPV Trucker is here. Just going down the list of all the people that tagged me and shouted me out. Alexander says, CiottiFPV new get-rich-quick scheme. Just buy all the Vistas and resell them. Ringer 1976 says, that movie looked sick, man. Can't wait to see that. Ringer, I assume that you're talking about Flow State. Yeah, Flow State is going to be amazing. James has done an incredible job with it. I have no idea when it's coming out. All I do know is that James screened it for Joshua because they're both in Tennessee. So it's definitely getting close. If I had to guess, March, April, May, June, July, August, I would say maybe towards the end of the summer. That is a total guess. Like, I have zero inside information. Hey, moderators, can one of you drop a link to the Rollins chat, because I want to give him as much love as I possibly can, because he just did an awesome job, and his new approach to interviewing I really like. He used to be a little bit dramatic and kind of like ask the gotcha questions in a way, but he's not doing that anymore, and he's a great interviewer. So yeah, if a moderator can drop a chat to the interview that I did with Michael, that would be super duper appreciated. Also, along those lines, on the bottom of CiottiFPV.com is a link to FPV therapy. 1 in 5 people struggles with mental illness. If you don't think that you have it, maybe you do and you don't know it. If you don't, you're very lucky, but if you know more than 5 people in this world, one of them has it. So maybe come on over, read our stories, learn a little bit about it, and then you're going to just be a much better friend to that person, because that person needs help and they need understanding. And there's a lot that's misunderstood about mental illness, and it makes it so much harder for us that really get the shit kicked out of us by it each and every day. So yeah, check that out if you have a couple of minutes to spare and you just want to be a better human here on Earth with other people that, have real struggles. And mental illness is a scary thing, man. Look up the number. Men in their 30s are killing themselves from mental illness more than they're dying from, I think, everything else. Car accidents, heart disease, all that, cancer, all that stuff. It's real. It's very real, and just learn a little bit about it. Just get a little bit of a base understanding about it, and you're gonna just be a much better human being here on Earth with the rest of us. Chomper FPV says, killing it, holy shit. Thank you, Chomper. EE Doc says, so we're drafting up combat teams now. Yeah, apparently. I'm just gonna cycle people in and out because I'm assuming it's gonna be in the room that I set up on Sim Sunday next week. So I'm just gonna keep cycling you guys in and out. I'm not a competitive person. I got all the competitive stuff out of my system with autocross and track days in my previous in my 20s, basically in my early 30s. Freestyle FPV I absolutely love because there is no competition, and I just I don't know. I've seen competition bring out the worst in people way too much, and so yeah, our team is going to change every single game. I want to give as many of you guys an opportunity to get shot by Joshua Bardwell or shoot Joshua Bardwell as I possibly can. So there's the deal for this coming Sim Sunday. YouTube just did the thing, scrolling back up. Trying to find my place, trying to find my place. Here. Damn. Chomper FPV with a $99.99 super chat. Dude, Chomper, thank you, bro. He says, I hope the collective is doing well. Ciotti, you're a legend and legends never die. I watched The Sandlot today, so I know some things. Dude, thank you so much, Chomper. That is incredibly generous. We're going to put that into the Ciotti's Get Health Insurance Fund over here. 483 becomes 583. We are one step closer to the $1 million that it takes here in the U.S. to be able to afford health insurance when you're not being offered it at a discount from a job that you work at. Dude, Chomper, holy cow, man. Dude, send me your address. I'm gonna send you some stuff. That's incredibly generous, man. Yeah, you're gonna get Chomper's gonna be the first one to get this this sticker, and I'm gonna find some other cool stuff to send him. My God, man, thank you so much. That's incredible. Airbender FPV saying, what's up? Remy Tim saying, what day is this combat thing? I'll try to be there for you. Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's just gonna be Sim Sunday. So we'll do a regular old Sim Sunday stream. I'll probably answer questions for half an hour, and hopefully that'll give Joshua enough time to get his stream wrapped up, and then jump in. Ben Warner says, what flight control you liking these days, both 20x20 and 30x30? Ben Warner, scroll down a little bit in the description. I have a section called the gear that I use and trust. There's a 20x20 and a 30x30 option in there. Just to spoil the surprise, Talon F7 20x20, Acon V1.1 20x20. Unfortunately, that flight controller has been discontinued and is pretty much impossible to find. So basically, Talon F7 20x20. Acon does make a 30x30, which I really, really like. Basically, anything Acon makes is top shelf, and it's not like I've yet to come across anything Acon makes that's not amazing. And their prices are not crazy. Their prices are a little bit higher than the cheapest stuff out there, but the cheapest stuff out there, go figure, is not the best stuff out there. So like Acon for me is an incredible value because it's the best I've been able to find, and it's not the most expensive. It's not like Kiss expensive or like Hobbywing expensive. So yeah, Acon, all the things. If you're flying DJI, Acon has a 20x20 specifically meant, it's called like their HD, the HD version. I don't like the way the pads are laid out for analog, but it's not meant for analog. So if you're on DJI, Acon has a 20x20 that you're absolutely gonna love. Yeah, I've managed to snag 4 of these discontinued Acon V1.1 analog, like sort of made for analog, just the way the pads are laid out, and it doesn't have a 9-volt regulator on it, right? Flight controllers that are, I swear to God, there was a ghost just now, that are really good, but I can't find them anywhere else. And I've asked the chat, and I've screamed and yelled, and I've even messaged Acon, and they said, yeah, they're discontinued. Metal Dirtskin with a $10 super chat. He says, sorry if I seem to be calling you out on Bardwell's stream. I was trying to be funny, but not come across that way. I didn't even notice, Metal. It was not you, man. It was definitely not you. But thank you for the $10. I'm going to spend it on health insurance because I'm a boring adult man. Yeah, I didn't even see that you'd commented, Metal. It's all good. I super duper appreciate the super chat though, and for you saying that. That's very cool of you. Leadfinger says, have you tried the Flow State Sim? I raced with the devs and they were chatting about it. It's a super alpha build, but it feels good and it's free on Steam. I have not, Leadfingers. So here's my here's where I'm at with Sims, right? All right. So here was my path with learning to be a better pilot, right? Start flying the Baby Hawk. Within like the first 6 or so months, somebody said like, try a simulator. You can play on your computer or whatever. Back then, Freerider was the only simulator. Freerider did not at the time. I don't know if they do now, but there was no PID loop built in, so it was like very wobbly. But it's still like it was still a simulator. Like you were still able to move the sticks around, and the quad would, well, the program would react, and it was really valuable. Then I either discovered or maybe Velocidrone came out, and I dove into Velocidrone, and that was great. Velocidrone is really, really good. It and Liftoff, last I've heard, are still sort of like the gold standards. I don't pay much attention to the Sims, though, so don't quote me on that. But I got into Velocidrone a lot. I really understood the value of it because coming from motorsports, I had access to Gran Turismo, and I don't think Assetto Corsa was out back then, but iRacing was out back then. So I understood the value of simulators from a perspective of like training, right? So I spent a ton of time in Velocidrone. I made this like rule with myself that absolutely no excuses, every single day, at least 30 minutes in Velocidrone. There would be days where I would literally go lay down in bed and I would remember, and I would get my ass up out of bed and come out and spend my half an hour on Velocidrone. And it was a big part of how I was able to get better at flying and get practice flying 5-inch weighted rigs as quickly as possible, right? Because a half an hour of flying, that's like 10 batteries. Usually you can't fly 10 batteries a day, right? Back then there was no like 5-6 minute run times on 6S like we have now. It was all 4S. Everything was, I mean, Christ, back then I was only flying micros, so I was 1S and 2S. I'd be lucky to get 3 minutes. So tons of time in a Velocidrone. My flying improved so much quicker than it had been prior to that. After I'd been flying for maybe 2 or 3 years, what I started to, and once I'd started flying actual 5-inch rigs for a while, I only started flying 5-inch rigs about 1.5 years into the hobby. I flew only micros, built everything, only micros for about the first 1.5 years. So now I've got like 1 year, 1.5 years flying 5-inch rigs. I'm still hammering Velocidrone, but what I started to notice is that when I would spend a bunch of time in Velocidrone, it would actually make me worse when I would go to fly for real, because my muscle memory would connect to Velocidrone, and none of the simulators are ever going to be perfect. They're never, ever going to be 1-to-1. So like when you think of like your progression as a pilot, right? Like getting better. There's with anything, right? Like this goes for any like skill or thing that you do that's difficult, right? That takes a lot of repetition to learn. You get a lot better early on, right? But then like as you do it more and more, you get like your rate of improvement slows, right? And then like it just gets more and more slow. And what'll happen is like you'll plateau, right? I'm sure you guys have felt yourselves plateau with your flying. This is one of the things that we would actually at the autocrosses, we would actually announce it. Like any drivers who feel like their driving has plateaued, please go off to the side and talk to the instructors. They're going to be the ones to help you get over that. It's so true. But so just as another little plug for my instructing and coaching services. But yeah, so like you get better, you'll plateau. If you're stubborn enough, you'll get a little bit better. But like you don't just keep getting better at this rate, right? Like you because it's this like low-hanging fruit analogy, right? Like when you're new, there's all this low-hanging fruit that you can grab that's easy. but then like as you grab all that low-hanging fruit, there's only the high fruit. There's only like and that's when you get into like the subtlety, right? Like the real subtlety of flying, where like doing a flip and a roll, you don't really care about doing a flip and a roll anymore. You care about like, did I over rotate from this move by like 5 degrees? And then like a month later you're like, well, now I over rotated by only 2 degrees, right? Like the gains become much smaller. And when that starts to happen, right, when the gains are really small, your muscle memory becomes so important, and flying the same rig over and over and over and over again becomes super important. And so by going into any of the simulators, it hurts that. So like it was really weird. Like eventually what I noticed is that like using the simulator was actually kind of hurting me. Like I would watch my footage, and like my first like 4 or 5 or 6 batteries, I was flying like garbage when I would have spent a bunch of time in the sim, because I was having to relearn the throttle pickup, the rates, the float, all these things that like it's kind of impossible for the simulators to get absolutely perfect. Rotor Riot actually went to Liftoff years ago and did an episode. And the Liftoff devs in that episode talked about how they have to pick, either make the freestyle feel good or make the racing feel good, because there's just something about the way that they have to program the physics in, where if the racing feels as close to perfect as possible, the freestyle starts to feel floaty. And so it was really interesting. It's from a long time ago, but yeah, I mean, regardless of that, like, you're trying to make a simulator that simulates a vibrating death machine with 16 knives on it that hammers through the you know, God knows what altitude, right? Different thicknesses of air, with wind, without wind. There's just too many variables. There's too many variables for any sim to ever be perfect. They're always going to be a video game. But for a long time as a pilot, the sims are super valuable. So what I will use the sims for now, I don't use them for like general flight practice. I'll use it for like if somebody does like a new move that I can't figure out the stick, you know, motions for, I'll go into the simulator and figure it out in there. It's one of the ways that I learned to fly backwards. Because flying backwards in real life is very expensive, because you smash into shit since you can't see where it's coming. So like really reckless stuff like that, the sims are beautiful for, but I actually try not to use the sims now, because it just doesn't make me, it just messes up my muscle memory, because I'm sort of at this point at a pilot where, you know, I've flown, I don't know, 10,000 batteries maybe. I should do the math one day, but I'm sort of at a point as a pilot where flying the same thing over and over again is the best possible thing that I can do to fly better, because I'm working on, like, me getting better is trying to find these tiny little super subtle things, and every time I fly a different rig, I can't do that, because there are drastic things different about the power curve of the motors, the weight of the rig, the frame geometry, like right down the rabbit hole we go. So, like, yeah. So, like, when there's, like, all these, there's a lot of sims coming out, right? Like, there's the DCL or whatever the hell it is sim. There's this one that Leadfinger's just, there's the Tiny Whoop sim. And I'm always, like, I'm interested in, like, I want to try them because I love that you guys mention them, but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never actually end up trying them because it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't have, and I also don't have, like, a ton of time to fly anymore, so, like, I don't know. I'm, like, weirdly being selective about, like, the stick time that I put in, because I'm very frustrated with where I'm at as a pilot, because I took 2 full months off and I flew a ton of micros and tiny whoops, and that, like, wrecked my muscle memory. And yeah, so there you go. It's a good problem to have, I guess. But I just don't want you, like a bunch of you guys have recommended these sims, and, like, I just don't want you to feel like I'm just like, yeah, I'll try it. You know, like, I don't want you guys to ever feel like that. And, you know, live streams are long form content, so I can explain to you guys what's going on, and hopefully maybe you'll get something out of it. I don't know. Rob Axelson says hello. Frank Nicholas, tag in CiottiFPV.com. Thank you, Frank. Rob Axelson says the FPV salesman. I mean, sales was my. I did work in sales for like my first 10 years out of university. Forevermore says, keep up the good work. That was before I moved into project management because I got super burned out on sales. And then I spent another 15-ish years in project management land. No, not that long, but another 8 or 9 years, I guess. B-Man FPV says, as a flight instructor, do you get to wear a hat with a low propeller on it? Do you get to wear a hat with a little propeller on it? Or does it have 4? Well, now I gotta get one of those goddamn multicolor hats and put an FPV prop on it. Oh man, nice. Forevermore says, learn from CiottiFPV's mistakes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if nothing else, guys, learn from my mistakes. That's all I ask. That's not all I ask, but yeah, I don't know. I try to talk about my mistakes because I'm a human being and I make mistakes. And if we all learn from each other's mistakes, we'll all make less mistakes, and it'll be awesome. Forevermore says, can you save the affiliate link as a bookmark so that's always the store link you buy from? Absolutely, Forevermore. So my affiliate links drive to like specific products, but that doesn't matter. Like in the affiliate link is my secret code for that website. So yeah, that doesn't like expire. Nor do you have to like buy the product that the affiliate link drives to. So yeah, if you guys change your bookmarks for Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God's website, FPV Crate, Banggood, Camera Butter, and AliExpress to my affiliate links and FPV Cycle, yeah, what a good idea. Thanks, Forevermore. Tiago says, LOL, check the super chats. I'm assuming from the insanely generous $100 super chat from Chomper. Thank you, Tiago. Jacob Schultz says, the BattleBots link should be a Rickroll. Oh. I'm not that evil, Jacob. Yet. Tiago Ramos says, Brad is right. In a global scale, some specific chips will take years to recover on the demand. Okay. B-Man says, bro, it's really okay, man. No one is thinking anything bad about you in regards to the Vistas, man. I appreciate it, B-Man. Matthew Vegas says, yeah, no need to waste time listening to haters. Easier said than done, unfortunately, Matthew. Yeah, there are things about my brain that I absolutely hate. And I'm busting my ass to try to work on. I spend a ton of money on talk therapy. But it's a very long, very, 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 very long road. But what can I do? You know, I wake up every day, and yoga and meditation have been transformative for me this year. I spend a ton of money on a really good talk therapist. I do everything that I possibly can. I go to sleep, and I wake up the next day, and I do it all over again. Test Pilot ERB says, just hit the X on the chat box and don't read the chat. I didn't even know you could close the chat. Yeah, I mean, the whole point, the chat is kind of like the whole point. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Quadzimoto with a $5 super chat. He says, F those people. You are great at what you do. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for supporting me, Quadzimoto. That is super cool of you. Gear Fund is going from $593 to $598. Look at that odd number, guys. Look at $598. Doesn't it drive someone out there crazy that it doesn't say $599 or $600? I'm going to try to remember to do that more and guilt you guys into doing small super chats. YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up to find my place. Ringer1976 says, I think it's cool that you were able to talk about it so freely. I find it pretty hard to talk about myself. Ringer, I assume that you're talking about mental illness stuff. It hasn't always been like this. Yeah, it's not to go totally off the rails, but I didn't even know mental illness was a thing until like my mid-20s. I was born in 81. My generation, like when we were growing up, mental illness was really not like a thing. Like I can't blame my school or my parents or anybody for that. Like in the 80s and even in the 90s, pretty much, like, yeah, we just didn't really understand. Like social media didn't exist, computers barely existed, right? Like, so yeah, like halfway through my 20s, I found out that it was a thing and that talk therapists helped out with it, and I started going to talk therapy. And yeah, just over the years of doing that more and more and more, eventually I realized that there's this horrible stigma with mental illness. And I'm a stubborn bastard, so I found that out, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm gonna fix the problem all by myself, and I just started talking about it more and more, just forcing myself for a long time to talk about it. And you lose a lot of friends, unfortunately, but the friends that you lose are pretty shitty people. But no, they're not. That's not true. That's totally unfair. They're just not ready. There's people that just can't deal with it. Those are not the friends that you want as somebody that deals with it, right? That's what I was trying to say by attacking them and calling them shitty. That was my ego talking right there. I just caught my ego, god damn it. It's one of the things I'm working on a lot. Yeah, it's hard. That's what she said. But for me, it has helped. It might not help you, but it might. The only way to find out is to do it, kind of thing. That's a lot of mental health stuff. You just have to force yourself to do it, like right now. Because if you say you're going to do it tomorrow, then tomorrow you'll do it tomorrow. You just have to do shit right now. Just right now. Now, like for real, right now. And then tomorrow, when you think about it again, you have to do it right now again. And then right now again the next day, and then right now again. Cannon Hughes says, anyone here use GyroFlow? CiottiFPV, have you tried it? I have not, Cannon. I have watched the video of the guy explaining it, and like 30 minutes into the video, I was like, this is a bit much. Like, I at the moment, I don't necessarily like have enough time to invest that much of a, because it's like workaround on top of workaround on top of workaround. So I'm just gonna sort of wait. I'm sure that it's gonna catch on and somebody's gonna make it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Real Steady gets a hold of it and incorporates it into hopefully Real Steady Go, which I do have on the laptop here. Yeah, once the workflow is not like 20 plus minutes, I'm all over it because I think it's a great idea. But for now, it's just kind of too much. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit too much of a time investment for me to be able to enter into that workflow. Joey T says, I was wondering if I could put a 2208 2445 kV motor on a build and tune it down now through Betaflight so that I could run both 4S and 6S on the same quad. If so, how would I do that again? Joey T, excellent question. Up on this wall, one of these glides is on 2400 kV 2306s, and the other glide is on 1850 kV 2306s, and one of them is motor scaled down to like 70%, I think it is, and the other one is motor scaled down to like 95% or whatever, and I can't tell the difference between the two of them. I've had, I've blind tested them, I have back-to-back tested them, and I've been doing this for like over 6 months. The runtime is the same, the throttle feel is the same, everything about them is completely the same. So yes, absolutely you can scale those down. And so what you're gonna do, you can have it automatically switch back and forth, or you can just go into the OSD and just, there's a motor scaling in there. You can just manually move this motor scaling up and down when you go from 4S to 6S. But the slick way of doing it is to go into Betaflight connect and go into PID tuning. And so rate profile 1, the way that I do it, you do whatever you want, but rate profile 1 for me is what oh, this is only on 4.1. This one's on 4.2. So you're going to go in there, just decide if rate profile 1 you would like for 4S or for 6S, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Oh, come on now. Really? Don't do it! There it goes. I didn't have it plugged in all the way. So yeah, the way that I do it is profile 1 is my 6S profile. I come down here and I set the cell count for 6, and then I put in whatever my scale factor needs to be for 6S on this rate profile, this PID profile. And then you go to PID profile 2 and you put it, I haven't done it on this rig, but you put cell count 4, and then you pick whatever scale factor you want for the for running it on a 4 cell. I'm actually not going to save it, but yeah, that's it. That's it. Betaflight automatically knows what the voltage is, and it makes a decision if that's a 4 volt, or a 4 cell, a 5 cell, or a 6 cell. It automatically switches you between the two profiles. For the most part, your PIDs are going to be very similar, if not identical. But what's cool about this is that maybe you want to push your 4S PIDs up a little bit, because 4S batteries just don't have that like instant hit that 6S does. And you can do that. Like, plug a 4S battery in, go into your OSD, and bump your PIDs up a little bit, and it'll save to only that profile. It's so easy. Like, it's like too easy almost. And it just works perfectly. And then, like, once you have your PIDs locked in on both of them, you just don't even think about it anymore until you fly like a huge spot where you have to cover a lot of ground. And then what's cool is you might remember, and you'll land, and you'll go into the OSD, and you'll go to miscellaneous PP, and you'll go to motor scaling, and you can turn your motor scaling up a little bit just for this humongous spot that you're flying at, and you'll magically have more power. And that's why motor scaling is amazing, is because you can literally pick and choose when you want to have more or less power. And we've never been able to do that before, and it's a really big deal. And it scales your PIDs up and down so that you don't have any like weirdness for the most part. If like your normal scaling is like 70% and you go all the way up to 100%, you might want to pull the PIDs down a little bit, but you're never going to do that because that's going to blow the ESC up pretty much instantly. So yeah, it works amazingly well. You guys should all start using it, and you should all start buying the highest kV motors that you possibly can whenever you buy a motor, because then you have maximum flexibility. If you buy anything other than the highest kV motor, you're just taking away flexibility. Flexibility to turn your power up and down, also flexibility to run any battery you want, right? Like, you can run a 3S, you can run a 4S, you can run a 5S, you can run a 6S. That makes a big difference with micros, because like there's like if a battery goes like less than 450 or so mAh, batteries don't perform as well. Like 450 mAh is when like battery, like the individual cell starts to work really, really well. So like if you're on like a if you're running like a 4S 450 and you want to go up to 5S, you're gonna to keep the total amp hours the same and the weight the same, you're gonna have to drop down below a 450. So if you can only buy a motor that works on 5S, that's the kV that makes sense for 5S, that's a pain, right? So buy the higher kV motor, and then you can pick which. It's better. It's just better. I would not recommend motor scaling all the way down to 50%. I've done it and it feels fine, but apparently there's some bad stuff that can happen. But that's not really a thing. Like, there aren't really motors that are high enough kV that you would motor scale them all the way down to 50%. So yeah, buy high kV motors, yo. Todd Tube says, what do you think about the Brother Hobby VY 1504.5 3950s for a 4-inch build? Todd, those are going to be a little small for a 4-inch build. Those are my favorite motors for 3-inch builds. And if the chat slows down towards the end of the stream tonight, I'm actually going to solder up a set of those. Oh God, onto the Ripsqueak number 2 so that we can then get started on the Ripsqueak number 3. These are my absolute favorite motors at the moment for 3-inch, 200 to 210-ish gram all-up weight rigs. For a 4-inch rig, though, if you run them on a 4-inch bi-blade, you're going to be fine. But if you want to run a 4-inch tri-blade, you're going to be overpropping them quite a bit. A 4-inch tri-blade really comes alive on a 2004 motor. I've tried. What is with my nose again tonight? It's all that cocaína. All right, got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've tested 4-inch bi-blades, the GemFan 4-inch tri-blades. I said bi-blades a second ago, I meant to say tri-blades. The GemFan 4-inch tri-blades are the ones you want. And I've tried them on 1804s and 2004s, and they feel much better on 2004s. So on 1504s, they would feel terrible. So, yeah. If you were building a long-range rig, those 1504.5s would be fine. But then you would be on bi-blades anyway. Unless you were looking to get jello-free footage, and then you would be on tri-blades. So there's a bunch of different things to confuse you. But yeah, if you're going to put those on 4-inch tri-blades only for long-range, if you're going for footage, because tri-blades are better balanced than bi-blades, if you're building a 4-inch build with bi-blades, those 1504.5s are probably going to be fine. If you're building a freestyle 4-inch build, you want to go with a bigger motor. And I would do the 20. I would do a 2004. I like the Brother Hobby VYs a ton. They're very, very light, and they just feel amazing. I have an edit here on the channel called 4-inch Motion. That rig is the GemFan 4-inch tri-blades on 1804s. And they felt okay. Like, you'll see the footage is really decent. But after that drift event, I switched those 1804s out for 2004s, and those 4-inch tri-blades felt so much. I was really shocked at how much better 2 extra millimeters made them feel. But it makes sense, right? Because we're going from 18 to 20, and when you think about percentages, that's a big percentage gained, right? That's like a 5-ish, a little bit over 5% gain in mechanical torque. That's a big deal. So yeah, there you go. BH Hitting says, back now, and $240 broker from buying new Vista and replacement Vista base without cam. Thanks a lot. You're welcome. KLG2303 says, just built my first quad 1S Baby 2 with the new FPV Cycle AIO, but I'm waiting on props. What should I expect when I fly it? So excited. KLG, it's going to be nice and floaty. I actually started on basically a toothpick build. So I started on something very, very similar to that. Nice and lightweight, nice and quiet. You can fly it everywhere. You can fly it anywhere. Buy lots of batteries and just put the stick time in, man. It is all stick time right now. Don't think about tuning. Make sure that your motors aren't getting hot. The first time you fly a build, you always want to hover it. Listen for any weirdness. You don't know what weirdness is yet, though. It should sound nice and smooth. There should be no grinding sounds. There should be no, like, oscillation sounds, which is like a trilling, like a brrr, or like, yeah, it should sound nice and smooth. So hover it for like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, land it, touch the motors. Touch the bell, the outside of the motor. It should not be burning hot. If you can grab, what's burning hot is the next question, right? If you can grab the outside of the motor and go 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 for 5 seconds and not like yank your fingers off, it's not too hot. The motors will get a little warm when you're pushing the rig really hard. But yeah, too hot is, ooh, that's too hot. Like, you'll know it'll be too hot. They should be relatively cool. Then, so if you're not burning your fingers, now you can actually fly it. Fly it for like 30 seconds, and then bring it back and just check it again, just to be totally sure. Checking your motor heat, you kind of can't do it too often. It's going to potentially save you from having to replace a motor or a blown up ESC. There's like, don't get crazy about it. My fucking nose. Don't be all nuts about it, but check it like every time you fly, maybe, especially if your rig is starting to make weird noises, if you're starting to get some of these oscillation noises. If you check your motors and your motors aren't getting hot, you're kind of okay. Like motors getting hot puts stress on the ESC and it puts stress on the motor, obviously, because it's getting hot. If the motors aren't getting hot, there's not a whole lot that you can really hurt in the rig. So it's a really, really good indicator of the health of the rig. And again, for the most part, like if the motors ain't getting hot, you're not going to blow anything up, so keep flying. And that's what this is going to be for you, man. Just do whatever you have to do to just keep flying. Just stay up in the air. Just pour the stick time on. Get into the simulator. Put a ton of time into the simulator. I really recommend the sim. The sim is going to save you so much money because the more time you spend crashing for free in the simulator, the less time you're going to spend crashing in real life. So yeah, they could charge $1,000 for the simulators, and I would pay it because I guarantee you it would save you $1,000 over the course of like your first, I don't know, year, maybe 2 years. Congrats for building your first rig, man. That's huge. Welcome to the sickness. Dauntless FPV says, Acon makes the DJI 20x20 flight controller. They work for analog too, pretty sure. They do work for analog, but as I mentioned a little bit ago, the pad layout, I don't really like the pad layout all that much. Quessy Williams says, I know you love Acon, but what are your thoughts on Holy Bro ESCs and flight controllers? What other brand electronics do you think are reliable? So Quessy, I try to test as much as I can, but like we were talking about earlier, testing, like for somebody that's trying to get better as a pilot, testing different gear all the time is really difficult. I also really don't have much of a budget for, like, I originally picked up this hobby because it was so cheap. I was getting out of motorsports because I couldn't afford it anymore. And I literally picked it, well, when I was unemployed when I picked this hobby up. So it had to be really cheap. And in the time that I've had this hobby, I really haven't had a good paying job like I did when I was building race cars into motorsport. So this hobby has always been like on a pretty tight budget. And I just kind of also can't afford to just like buy one of every manufacturer's piece of gear and do like a really good amount of testing. So I have no idea on Holy Bro stuff, whether or not it's durable or reliable. I do try to, I used to, I really don't spend much time on social media reading what other people say anymore. A, because I don't have the time, but B, because most people don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? Like 90% of the feedback that you're going to read online about X, Y, or Z companies' products is people who have like one quad or no quads or two quads, and they just spent $80 on something. And when you've just spent $80 on something, you're going to like it. Like, and if you're not, and if you haven't been into the hobby for multiple years, you're not going to know that there's anything better, right? So it's really, really, really difficult. You got to really be very picky when you're reading reviews online to like research the person that's saying that, right? Like go to their page, go to their channel, see where they're at as a pilot. Like don't be stalkery, but just like see if when they fly, they're fucking wobbling all over the place. Because if they're wobbling all over the place, they haven't been flying very long, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, everybody wants to help, right? Like, it's very natural that, like, you just want to help, right? Like, you want to give your opinion, but, like, people just don't understand that, like, building a rig and then flying two batteries and the ESC not blowing up doesn't mean anything. Like, once you've pounded it into concrete 80 times and you've put 200 batteries through it, now, sure, if it hasn't... But those people are out flying, right? Those people aren't on Facebook talking about how great their so-and-so flight controller or ESC is. So I can't really give you any feedback on Holy Bro. I haven't even really heard many people talking about Holy Bro, but even when I do hear people talking about a product, like, I just don't believe it. Like, I only really believe pro pilots and like close personal friends that, like, I know that they've flown enough of a thing and or are a good enough pilot to understand what a good quality flight controller, ESC, VTX, receiver, camera, whatever are, right? So yeah, it's hard, man. I've had mixed results with SpeedX. I like SpeedX's 20x20 stuff. I have not had very good luck with their 30x30 stuff. And when I say 20x20, I mean like micro stuff. Like SpeedX's micro stuff has been pretty damn good, but their 5-inch stuff has not been all that great in my experience. Acon has just been like, I don't understand. I don't understand how Acon stuff is so good. Like, I beat these glides. Like, it's just so wrong. Like I've probably been through like 20, 25, 30x30 ESCs. I've broken one Acon 30x30 ESC. And that quad came down 30 stories to the concrete. And there was nothing left. Like, I might as well have just left it there and driven home. Like, nothing survived. Something survived. I think like one arm survived. You know what I'm saying, though. Like, it was impossible. It was an impossible, it was just an impossible crash. And that's it, dude. I just trash the Acon stuff, and it just doesn't care. It's amazing. The Talon stuff has been really good from Heli. There's too many companies with Heli as the first word. Heli Nation. Yeah, Heli Nation. The Talon stuff has been pretty good. I really like it for micros. The Talon flight controllers, I have had a few of them fail on 5-inch rigs. Only on 5-inch rigs. I haven't had a single one of them die on a micro. And I try not to throw anybody under the bus, so I'm not going to throw any of the companies under the bus, like Hobbywing, whose ESCs have not held up. It really weirds me out that, like, so many people, although it's a lot of pro pilots and a lot of them are sponsored by Hobbywing, but I don't know, I feel like a lot of people say how great Hobbywing stuff is, but I've had 6 of their ESCs fail on me, and I've heard that from people that I trust. I've heard people that I've trusted, that I do trust, have a really hard time with Hobbywing stuff, but then other people say that they're great. It's very strange. I've yet to hear anybody say anything bad about Acon, though, so I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't know why I just said that. That makes no sense. The Ringer says, how long have you been flying now? I believe it's 4.5 years that I've been into this awesome hobby. Double A saying hello. Rob Axelson saying Flow State Sim is real good for low-end computers. Very cool. Licenses Drive says, hi, fruit. Is that what Bach Rider eats? I don't know why it's so funny. Maybe I'm high. Solo says, what's good, dude? What's up, Solo? Dauntless says, arrow up to Richard's comment. Richard says, LOL, vibrating death machine, name of your battle bot. Yes! Good call, Dauntless. Good comment, Richard. I think YouTube's about to do the thing. No, it's not. It's not. I just want to fly FPV. Says, what sim do you prefer for freestyling? As I was talking about before, I just want to fly. None of the sims are going to be perfect. So for the most part, like, just kind of pick one. Velocidrone and Liftoff are the two big ones that have really, like, been at the top of the heap forever. I am on Velocidrone. Just happened to be the first one that I picked up. It runs a little bit better on my old computer than Liftoff, so I've just stuck with Velocidrone forever. But don't worry about which sim is the best. Just pick a sim and just pour time into it. It's not going to be, none of them are perfect. Again, the whole point of the sim is just getting the basics down, just moving the sticks in the same way. If you think that maybe someday you'll ever want to have me do some instruction and coaching for you, pick Velocidrone, because that's the one that I'm on, and you'll make my life a little bit easier. But I do have Liftoff as well if I need it for any of you guys that are interested in you know, learning some tips and tricks from somebody that's been doing this for 4.5 years, because you decide that instead of just pounding your head into flying, you can spend a couple bucks to leapfrog ahead. That's what instruction and coaching does for you. Like, if your normal progression is like this, right? If you get an instructor involved, your progression is going to do that from the instructor, because they have made a million of the mistakes and they're able to help you not make those mistakes and just accelerate your learning curve. So if that's worth 40 bucks, I'm here for you. FPVinstructor.com, coming soon. Chomper says, any other batteries that you like that are not Tattoo? Yes, Chomper. Good time to ask me that. Have you used Thunder Power? I have not, because in my opinion, the Thunder Power batteries are needlessly expensive, and they're not even that lightweight. Like the Thunder Power 6S, I don't know, 1000 or 1050 or 11, whatever the hell it is, their lightweight 6S is $10 more expensive than the Tattoo R-Line version 1, and it's 10 grams heavier. Like, if it was the same weight, I would think about it, but it's heavier, and like, if it's more expensive and heavier, they can eat me, especially because the Tattoo R-Line version 1 is amazingly good. It like never sags. It's really durable. Let me read the rest of your question, and then I'll talk about other batteries that I've found recently. I'm looking for punch through the pack 6S. What do I need to look for other than high C rating? So don't look at C rating. C rating means absolutely nothing. There's no standardization of C rating. So any of these manufacturers can say, our new battery is 7,000 C, and there's no penalty for doing that. So they all lie. They just the C ratings mean absolutely nothing. Don't look at them. They're just, it's a useless measurement. The Ovonic 6S 1000 mAh is my current favorite budget 6S battery. It's not as good as the Tattoo, but it's 20 bucks, and that's a crazy value. For $20, it's an amazing battery. I just found, though, and I've cycled it now 5 times, and it's holding up totally fine, from HeliDirect, the Talon NFG 1150. I might be switching over to this battery. This thing is like blowing me away. So it's not like super public knowledge, but I was told that I don't have to like not say this, but I was encouraged to like not post publicly about this, but these are made by Tattoo. And their HeliDirect has these made by Tattoo, and they have them make them with their best chemistry, apparently, from what I've been told. 173.4 grams with the little TPU balance lead holder that I love, which is, I think, pretty much exactly the same as the R-Lines. It's not the same battery as the R-Line. They're a different size. Okay. They're not a different size in this dimension, but they're a different size in this dimension. Well, although these R-Lines I've beaten the hell out of, and they are a little bit puffy. I don't know, maybe it is just an R-Line. R-Line is Tattoo's best chemistry, so maybe it is just an R-Line. The R-Line, it's not an R-Line. R-Line is 167.6 grams. So it is a tiny little bit heavier. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's 6-ish grams heavier. These version 1 R-Lines are kind of going away, though. And the version, well, they've already gone away. They're on version 4 now. And the version 4 is like 10 grams heavier, I think, which makes it heavier than this guy. I think this guy is also cheaper. Don't quote me on that. I am just really, really, really impressed by this Talon NFG 1150 mAh battery. Really, really impressed. And then there's the Ovonic, which I think is the lightest. Nope. The Ovonic is 171.8. So this is the budget. This is the budget buy. If you can find the R-Line version 1s, this is like, I don't know, old reliable, let's call them. And then this Talon NFG 1150 is the new hot kid on the block. I'm really impressed by this battery. I'm actually not spending any money right now, so I'm not going to buy more of these, but I'm going to keep pounding on this one. Like I said, it's 5 cycles in, no signs of it degrading at all, which so the Tattoo Fun Fly batteries, for example, they started to fall off a cliff after 5 cycles. And I've had that, I don't know, 5 cycles for like a shady battery. So that's 5 cycles with me flying. I tend to over discharge batteries and I just pound the hell out of them and I crash them really hard. So for me, 5 cycles is a lot more stress than most. But yeah, I'm very impressed by this Talon battery. Great question, Chomper. Definitely stop looking at C rating, though. It means nothing. What? Okay. No. Let me say this. C rating within a manufacturer maybe means something. Does that make sense? But don't compare Heli Nation's C rating to China Hobby Line's C rating. That's a useless thing to do. But if you're looking at 2 different Heli Nation batteries and one of them is a higher C rating, that's the better battery. But you already knew that. Scroll. Tinker Tweak FPV says Amazon has prop hats for under $10. Nice, Tinker. I'm on it. Zach Silvestri is in the house. He says, I'm improving on CiottiFPV's mistakes and I'm making better mistakes. This is all we can do, man. Oh no, YouTube's gonna do the thing. Scrolling back up. Finding my place. There I was. The Ringer 1976 with a $20 super chat. He didn't even say anything. He just there he's saying some stuff. The Ringer, thank you, dude. Super, super, super cool. Gear fund goes up to 618. I hope that's the right math, or I'm going to be very embarrassed. Not really. I don't care. I'm old enough to not be good in math anymore. The Ringer says, at least you're putting the work in, man. It's killing my OCD. Yeah. You almost fixed it, The Ringer. Now you just made it 618. Somebody's got to do a $2 super chat for your OCD to calm down. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Metal Dirtskin says you should have a decent Amazon affiliate payout coming from that Mavic I bought with your affiliate link. Hell yeah, Metal. That was, again, super, super cool of you. Metal Dirtskin bought a Mavic, and somebody else bought like $1,300 or something like that of like car stuff, right? Because like you can buy anything on Amazon. So yeah, you guys are killing it with the Amazon affiliate stuff. It really means a lot. The affiliate links, most YouTubers make the majority of their money from affiliate links, and then like their Patreon or like the Amazon or YouTube super chats and stuff like that'll always be like half as much or whatever. I don't do like gear reviews though, because I only really like to review gear after I've obliterated it for 6 months. So for me, it's a little bit different. But you guys have like amazingly latched onto the affiliate links, and you've started to buy like all kinds of random stuff on Amazon and wherever with them, and like that's insane, and it's just so cool. You guys are the best, man. I'm a very lucky boy to have such a cool audience, and yeah, don't think that I ever take it for granted, because I really don't. I like talk about you guys with like other people in like my normal life. It's weird, and they're like, what are you talking about? Your chat? What's your chat? Who the fuck is your chat? And I'm like, you wouldn't understand. They're this group of lunatics that just refuses to let me fail, and yeah, it's insane. You guys are the best. Forevermore says, ain't you a mod over there? Just start putting people in timeout. Yeah, I can't do that though forever. The thought had crossed my mind. I can't do that. Jacob Schultz says that's one of the responsibilities of being a mod, right? Hey, Private Island FPV with a $2 super chat to help out with all of our OCD. Gear fund goes from 618 to 620. Look at you guys. Although I'll bet you there's another super chat coming up because I've been talking about it a bunch for like $2, and that's going to post to 622. Everybody's going to lose their minds again. Jacob Schultz, hey, I haven't seen a link to the Rollins interview. I don't know if maybe I just missed it. If it hasn't been posted, if a mod can drop a link to that interview, I would love you forever. As if I don't already. Jacob Schultz says, on the topic of plateauing, sometimes I find taking a week off or two flying altogether. When I come back, I feel improved, I guess. Jacob Schultz, great introspective thing that you've hit on there. That's like a thing. Like there's like a thing in like with like performance-based stuff. Like I remember that back when I used to play drums was my earliest hobby from like the age of 9 or something. My parents put me into private lessons with a phenomenal jazz drummer named Tony DiNicola up in New Jersey. And I took like weekly lessons from him for like 8 years or something. I would notice it with drums. I would like take a little bit of time off, and like people smarter than me have talked about how like sometimes like shit just has to settle in your brain in some weird way. I tend to try to look at I tend to try to be like devil's advocate with as much as I possibly can, so that like if my opinion is over here and then I do that to look at the opposite side of the opinion, maybe I can meet in the middle, or at least maybe if I come all the way back to my original opinion, I've at least like explored, right? So that I can be, not just a lunatic. That doesn't make any sense. I'm a crazy person, but what I kind of think it might be, I think it's a combination. I think there is something to be said about that, like things just kind of settling in your brain or locking in or whatever you want to call it. I think it might be that in that time, you like kind of forget, like you almost like forget where you were at, and then when you come back to it, like it's a little bit more fun because it's kind of like fresher or newer, maybe a little bit. But also like, yeah, you kind of like maybe forget the mistakes that you were having. Like, I don't know. When I look at myself, like I make mistakes. I beat myself up for those mistakes. I'm like, oh, God damn it. At the end of the pitched forward, rolled to the side, cross coordinated with yaw move, I continually come up like 2 degrees off center or whatever. And like, I'll beat myself up for that, and I'll try to fix it. Sometimes I feel like when I take a break from that move or from flying, when I come back, like I just don't remember how nuts I was being, right? So I little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, I think, but yeah, you're not the only one that thinks that. I've seen it. Lots of other people have too. That's like a thing. Like you'll every once in a while, pro pilots will mention that. Like, yeah, I took some time off, and all of a sudden I was better when I came back. So. Yeah, good introspection there, man. CiottiFPV says, flying at the park and having people asking questions, recommendations for spectator screens or setups. Ooh, I do not have an answer there, CMYK. The only answer that I have is, oh, that's so cool. What is that? Oh, it's FPV. Oh, wow, what's that cost? $1,300. It's called the DJI FPV drone. Oh, okay. All right, see you later. That's what I'm hoping it's going to go like, because up until last week, it was like, well, this rig here only has about $300 in gear in it. You don't have to fly this $300 GoPro. And then like the transmitter is like $100, and then what you'll do is like you'll get a simulator and like a half an hour later, right? Whereas like, if nothing else, the DJI FPV drone allows us to say it's $1,300. And you know what that'll do to a lot of people? It'll make them go, oh, okay, cool, bye. And that, my friends, is worth all the bullshit that that their FPV rig is causing in our little corner of the world. I am 40 minutes behind. It is full speed time. I don't have an answer, CMYK. I had one of those little watch tiny screen things. I like procrastinated buying it. I eventually got one. I refused to pay $40 for one. It just seemed like a little bit too much money. There was one on clearance for $30. I bought it. People came and asked me about it, and I said, oh, here's the screen. And then I spent the next half an hour answering questions as they looked at the screen going, oh my God, it's so cool, it's so cool. And then I accidentally left it on the roof of the car and drove away, and now it's gone forever. So the spectator screen is not going to make that that cycle of questions any shorter. If anything, it could make it longer. I don't know. Like, as much as I want to introduce new people to FPV, I don't want to. I'm done. I don't. $1,300. Go buy it. It's on you. Johnny5FPV says, why would my pitch channel also make aux 1 in the receiver tab move? It's causing me to lose a switch to use on my remote since a D8 receiver. Tried making a new model and new switch setup. Wow. That's one of the more strange things I've ever heard, Johnny5. I am not very great with, like, OpenTX. Like, I just use OpenTX only when I absolutely have to. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I don't get too deep into the technical side of this hobby unless I have to, and I've never had a problem that's even remotely related to that. Chat is going to be our best chance. So here, I'm going to copy and paste Johnny5's. I mean, I am 40 minutes behind, so you guys may have already troubleshot this, but oh God, it's too many letters. I'm just gonna take off the beginning here, and it's not enough. Switch set. The end of the statement. All right, I just reposted it in the chat. Chat, it's on you guys. Somebody help Johnny5, because I have no idea. If we can't get it figured out here tonight, Johnny5, message me somewhere at CiottiFPV, and I'll start Googling and see if I can figure it out for you, man. But I have no clue. And like I said, I only use OpenTX when I need it, and like I haven't had to use OpenTX in about 2 years. So like, I got my models set up, and then that was it. There hasn't been like a real reason to go back in there. But yeah, we'll get it figured out hopefully. And there it is, Private Island with a $4.20 super chat, pushing us beyond 620 to 624. But I'm gonna put the 0.20 in there, because weed number, Jacob Schultz says, have you seen the race whoops people have been building lately? YKS did a sick video on it. I haven't seen them, Jacob, but I have heard of them. It's pretty new, so correct me if I'm wrong, but what it seems like is that people have decided that they're going to build race whoops, which not like a tiny whoop, like a Cinewhoop. I guess the better name the more accurate name would be Race Cinewhoop, which is really interesting, right? For a couple of reasons. Like, I'm not going to do it because I don't like racing, but I love the idea. It's building on the idea of like spec racing, basically. Like Spec Miata is the most exciting racing series to watch in the world. Fight me if you don't agree. It's the least expensive, so the most number of people can get into it, right? That's important, because being a talented driver, pilot, whatever, doesn't always mean that you're rich, right? Lewis Hamilton came from nothing, and he's arguably the best driver that's ever lived, okay? So Spec Miata, right, again, it's the least expensive wheel-to-wheel racing series. It's the slowest racing series. So those two things are tied in together, right? But also, with it being slower, the action is more condensed. So you have more wheel-to-wheel action. The whole pack is all grouped up. And the other cool thing is that the cars are very low horsepower, so they bump draft. And bump drafting groups everybody up, but it's also really fun to watch. These guys literally go around, like when they run at like bigger tracks like Daytona, when they get up onto the banking, the 98 horse, they make a little more than that. They're making like 130, 140, but if you're not bump drafting with a little group, you get left for dead. And it's very cool to see these guys flat out on the oval, just ding, 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 ding. And bump drafting is because you're behind the other car, so you're in their slipstream, so you can go faster. And those guys have hand motions saying if it's okay or not okay to bump draft, because you're ramming each other. So the car that's in the slipstream, the lead car is the slowest, but everybody behind them just bumps them, and they try to do it at just like a couple miles an hour. Like, they don't ram each other. They just bump, and the whole line will just and the whole train can go a lot faster because of that. Well, so the race, this whole race Cinewhoop thing, it has all that, right? They're going to be slow as hell, so everybody's going to be close together. That's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be fun to fly. They're going to be durable, because I'm assuming that they're building them out of these like way over protected Cinewhoops, right? The Taycan, these like really fat and heavy Cinewhoops that are like 500-600 grams that are indestructible. I assume that they're building them out of there, right? Like, that's not how I've built, like the Cinesplorer up here. My Cinesplorer is like 400 and something grams all up, like 450, 460, 440. I forget. Well, it also depends on which battery I run on it. But my theory with the Cinewhoop is I'm not going to crash the shit out of it, because it's meant for cinematic work for when I'm going slowly, right? Like, the non-ducted rigs are the ones that I go fast with, because usually when you're going fast, you're not worried about cutting people's fingers off. The Cinewhoop is for going slowly, so it just makes sense to go slow with it. And then the crashes are very slow, so it doesn't have to be bomb-proof, right? But like most of the other Cinewhoops out there are not under that same philosophy, right? Like, it's weird. Like, all these Cinewhoops are just like, you could throw them off the top of a building and they would survive. It's like, you guys realize they go really slow, right? But they make a lot of sense for this race Cinewhoop thing, right? Because now they're bomb-proof, so you bash into each other, you bash into gates. So like, I'm super. I mean, I'm not really interested in the racing side of FPV, but I'm more interested in this race Cinewhoop than any other. I'm not interested enough to look it up, but you know what I'm saying. It's cool. I love the idea. I think it's the best possible use for the majority of the Cinewhoop frames that we've got. Because having a Cinewhoop that's more than 500 grams to me doesn't really make any sense, for all the reasons I just said. But yeah, I haven't talked about those yet, because it is fairly new. Thanks for bringing that up, Jacob. B-Man says motor limited, not scaled. He always says that. Yeah, sorry. I hope that by my using the word motor, you guys know what I'm talking about. Because in the PID screen, it's called... Hold on. It's called motor limiting. So motor is the keyword, right? In the rates tab, it's called throttle scaling. Throttle being the keyword, right? So hopefully by me using the word motor, you guys get what I mean. But yeah, I do need to say motor limited, because that's what it's actually called. In I also try to say it's in the PID tab as much as possible, so that you don't go to the rates tab. Rob Axelson says you should do a full instruction video rather than just to talk about it in layman's terms. I would love to, Rob. Stuff like that, though, it takes me forever to film and edit and everything. And here on YouTube and just in general in the world, content is more disposable today than it was yesterday. And like, this is my thing, right? Like, live streams are my thing. It's why people come to see me. So to me, and maybe I'm wrong, like you're not the first person that said this, so maybe you guys are all right and I'm wrong about this, but just my approach is to stick with what I'm good at and stick with what people are coming, to Yeah, like this is my thing. So I would prefer to have these conversations with you guys and talk about it, and have like more of a one-on-one kind of thing. Because yeah, when you spend 10 hours making a little piece of content and you put it up there, in 6 months nobody looks at it anymore because it's old. It's old content, right? I do it all the time, and like I it drives me nuts that that's true, but it just happens. It's like human nature, right? Especially for us, because FPV is constantly changing. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hedging my bets on this being the best way of doing it. But again, I could absolutely be wrong. I probably am. I'm wrong about everything. So yeah, I don't know. But this is my thing, and so I'm just kind of sticking with my thing. I don't know. I hope you guys are cool with that. Jason Crabtree says, see above. If I needed a Cinewhoop for a few days, could I run 4-inch ducts on a Glide 2306 2700 4S? Yeah, totally. Totally, Jason. It's not going to be that durable, though. So that setup that you're talking about there is probably going to break those ducts. So if the gig that you're talking about, that you're needing that for, could potentially have you bouncing off of stuff, have extra ducts, and be aware, like if you're going to be flying around something expensive, right, I would be very careful. Know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, that'll absolutely work. 2306's 2700 kV 4S on 4-inch propellers will absolutely fly. It won't be a freestyle rig, but you're probably doing cinematic work, so it'll probably be really nice, right? Because you'll have less power, which is what the Cinewhoops have, right? Less power, more throttle resolution. So yeah, it'd probably be pretty good, but just keep a couple of those other things in mind. The Ringer says, have you tried Kebab's 2203/4 or the T-Motor copies? I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Kebab's gear. I recently built a quad out of his 5-inch motors. They're as forgiving as he says. So I'm actually ordering a set of his 2203. So they're now 2204s. They used to be 2203s. They're now 2204s. That's right. I was gonna order a set tonight, but then I looked at my bank account. So I'm not gonna order a set yet, but at some point here, I am gonna order a set of his 2204s. On my Cinewhoop, I have the Brother Hobby VY 2004s, and I'm tempted to just order another set of those because they're kind of perfect. I just don't have a single complaint about the performance of them, and they're a lot lighter. So I'm kind of only getting the Kebab's 2204s because him and I have been friends for like over 2 years, and I've flown pretty much all of his stuff, and like I've done a lot of prototype testing with him. But I don't know. I'm very tempted to just order another set of the 2004s just because they're so good and they're lighter. And for me, I really try to keep Cinewhoops as light as possible because the lighter they are, the more accurate they are. The heavier your rig gets, when you fly and you turn, the more it doesn't want to turn, right? The more mass, the more momentum, the more it's going to want to slide. And that's exactly what I don't want from a Cinewhoop. Like when I'm flying Cinewhoops, I'm trying to find the smallest little gaps that I can possibly find. And shaving a couple grams does make a difference in the accuracy. It makes the rig fly more like an RC car where you're just like boom, gap, boom, gap, boom, gap. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get, I have a second Cinewhoop over here that is in need of a set of motors, and I've decided that his 2204s are going to be the motors that I put on it, so that I can do a little head-to-head. But fair warning, if they're not better, I'll sell them and move to the 2004s because I'm just so happy with them, and they're quite a bit lighter. Those Brother Hobby VY 2004s are dumb light. They're like 15 grams a motor. It's crazy how light they are, and they make a really good amount of power. They make just enough power on the Gem Fan 5 blades, which is what I have on that guy up there. Great question, brother. And I'm probably eventually going to try his 5-inch motors, but I'm waiting for the weirdness with the desyncs to get figured out. I'm worried that his motors aren't going to be very durable because I'm very, very, very hard on motors. But again, I'm going to try them because I love the guy, and I love what he's doing. And yeah, I'm going to try him. Cannon Hughes asking about gyro flow again. Cannon, I answered that, I would say 15 minutes into the beginning of the stream. If you want to go back, you can rewind. The DVR of YouTube will let you rewind. The Ringer says hover in a nice grassy spot. Absolutely, for the new pilot that we were talking about. Wow, I am way behind on chat. 10:59 and it is 11:36. I've gotten no more caught up than like a half an hour ago. Freeloja says, could have been my fault, but I had both Holy Bro ESCs fail during setup. I lost two ESCs, one on the other, and no smoke, CiottiFPV. So not looking good for Holy Bro, but take note, ladies and gentlemen. All right, take note of something. Really, keystrokes are not working already? Come on now. Take note of something, okay? This is important. Freelojo says, could have been my fault. All right? Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Okay? Start saying that. Please. Start saying that. Be real with yourself. If you're going to give anyone advice, feedback, whatever, say things like this, okay? Before you post it, take a second and just think. Oh, God damn it. I was trying to make a point there. Just think to yourself, what would Ciotti do? That's important. That's really important, guys. Like, when you just type, like, a statement, like, okay, so take that out. Take that statement out of Freelojo, right? He's lit up in blue, so he's a moderator. So he already has extra, like, weight, right? So without that statement, he would have said, I had both Holy Bro ESCs fail during setup. One lost two ESCs, one lost the other, and no smoke. You're not, if you saw somebody type that statement right there sounds pretty damn intelligent, right? Like, he tried two of them. No smoke, right? Like, that statement without could have been my fault, it holds a lot of weight. But when he says could have been my fault, that's really important, right? That's really, really, really important because it just, I don't know what the actual situation was. Maybe he was being a little sloppy when he was soldering. Maybe he's just saying it because we need to start saying that shit because of reasons. You guys know what I'm getting at. Check yourself. Check yourself on that, right? Think of how bad, like, it never happens, but, like, you give somebody advice, they go spend $100 on a new set of motors and they hate them. Think how, that sucks, right? Like, you shouldn't, that's not, like, you should feel bad about that, right? Like, that person would never come back to you and be like, thanks a lot, yo, for your fucking recommendation. That just doesn't happen. But, like, imagine that it had, I guess, right? You know what I'm saying. Maybe Holy Bro's not great. Chris Crofts right after that says, I have a Holy Bro HD stack and working fine and I crashed a bit. Chris Crofts says, I crashed a bit. Thank you for saying a bit, Chris. We got to be more detailed, right? Like, because if Chris had said, and I've crashed the shit out of it over the last 6 months, it would have a totally different, right? Think about that stuff. Don't allow other people to waste their money. It's not cool. How much money have you wasted? Don't take it out on the new people. Don't take it out on other people. Suck it up, and let's be better as a community. You know what I mean? CiottiFPV says, I have a complaint about Acon. Ooh, now we're talking. The 20x20 ESC is 20x20 mounting, but almost as big as a 30x30. So I've run into issues with them fitting into some small frames. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I totally agree. But all of the 20x20 ESCs that are meant for 5-inch rigs are like that. It's actually one of the things that I use to be able to determine if a 20x20 ESC is meant for a 5-inch rig or if it's meant for a micro. Dan, this is going to be more me talking to everybody else. You're a super knowledgeable dude. You already know all of this, but yeah, that's a real thing. If I'm building a micro, I only buy the really like the very small 20x20s, and they've always been fine. The SpeedX GS25, which is now discontinued, the SpeedX IS35, I think it is, which is now new. Yeah, like just when you look at an ESC, right? When you look at a 20x20 ESC, guys, if like the mounting holes are in here, but then the outside of the ESC is out here, that's not a micro ESC. That's an ESC for a 5-inch rig. The micro and those are also the expensive ESCs. That's the other way I differentiate between them. If you're building a micro, go with the smaller ESCs that are also cheaper, and you're going to be totally fine. You could say like, well, I want to future-proof myself, so I'm going to buy the bigger one, and I don't have a problem spending the extra money. That's fine, although those bigger ones are quite a bit heavier. So don't do that, in my opinion, because with micros you got to really pinch grams. You got to really look for every single individual gram that you can remove from each little spot of that build. That's a really, really, really good point, though, Dan. But the opposite side of that point is everybody else does it too. But yeah, really, really good point. That's something that I actually don't talk a lot about. So I love that Tweet brought that up, because yeah, that's like my little secret way of being able to tell if an ESC is a micro ESC or a 5-inch ESC, because they are different. They are very different. If you put a micro ESC on a 5-inch rig, it'll blow up in a second. Like, they're just not meant for it. And you can't really tell by the amp ratings anymore. Like, there are micro-oriented ESCs that are 35 amps. So you really can't judge by the amp rating anymore. You used to be able to, because the micro ESCs were all 15 amps and 20 amps and 25 amps, and then all the 5-inch ESCs were 35, 40, 45, 50. But now you can't tell. You know, the Acon AK32s that I run are 35 amp ESCs, and there are now tiny little micro-only ESCs that are 35 amp. But again, if you take that little micro 35 amp ESC and you put it on a 2306 and hammer on it, it's going to blow up immediately. Really good point, Tweet. Drone Shots says CiottiFPV. Didn't say anything else though. Somatic FPV says JB is trying to recruit me for combat. What say you? You better not be. You traitor, Somatic. You better not. You better be either lying or you better not go on to Team Bardwell. You're my ringer, Somatic. Although, like I said earlier, I'm going to cycle people out. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to give as many different people a chance to be shot at and or shoot Joshua Bardwell as possible, and me. It's all for funsies. Although, Somatic, I'm gonna perma ban you from my YouTube channel if you end up on Joshua's team. Schwerer Gustav says Ovonic is shit. But he just said that. He didn't provide any actual details, so I don't know. You can believe him if you want. I gave you guys a bunch of details. So, Schwerer, if you want to give some more details, I would love that, brother. FPV-ish says, where do you purchase a 6S Ovonic for $20? Oh man, I don't remember FPV. I got him damn near a year ago. Man, I don't remember. I could be wrong about the cost, too. Are you calling me on the cost? Am I wrong about the price? I could have sworn they were $20. Maybe they were like 22 or something. They're a lot cheaper than the Tattoo R lines though, for sure. So it's still my budget pick. Tiago says the Hobbywing ESC that you use was the 40 or the 60, or it was the former version. So I've blown up 2 of the whatever the first version. I don't remember the amp ratings. I ran them a long time ago. I blew up 2, or maybe it was 3 of that like first ESC that they came out with that Gapit loved and a bunch of people loved, and then they changed it. The whatever that next version of their ESC was, I blew up at least 2 of those, and then I moved to the current one. I tried one of the current ones that Vanover specifically said was completely indestructible, and it blew up like pretty quick. So I don't remember which ones they were, but yeah, that's been my Hobbywing experience. I don't know, Vanover is a way better pilot than I am, so probably believe him over me. I just give you guys my experience, and what you do with it is on you. But what I can tell you is it's not just me. I've heard from multiple people that are not sponsored by Hobbywing that they've had a good amount of them blow up. From the old ones to the new ones to the ones in the middle. So scroll. Cannon Hughes says, oh, YouTube, you dirty rat bastard. Scrolling back up. Oh, there's a super chat from Maniac in there. We're getting there. Woo, wooden props with a biggin. Am I really this far behind? Oh my god, I gotta. All right, I gotta go fast. We're coming up on midnight now too. Okay, so I just have to go fast now, guys. So I'm gonna have to give shorter answers. Cannon Hughes with an up arrow says, what do you think about this orange China Hobbyline 4S 1500 battery from Amazon for $18? It's a great price, Canon, but they're way too heavy. The China Hobbyline batteries are just so heavy. I really like Tattoo R lines. I like GNBs, and try these, man. Try these from Heli Direct. These are a really good price too. These Talon batteries from Heli Direct. I'm gonna do more, and I've got a bunch of these. I've got a bunch of these in like micro batteries, 1S, 2S, 3S, and they're awesome as well. Freelojo says the car parts was me. That's who it was. Freelojo, you're the man. Private Island says, thank you for making that make sense. Perfect, thank you. You're welcome. Here we go, full speed. Family Guy says, you're the best. Thanks, brother. Remy Tim dropping the link. Thank you, dude. Marcel Off Access Roberts is in the house. What's up, brother? Alexander FPV says, it's a thing that neurons connect over 24 hours. Right, and that's one of the things that happens when we sleep is that neurons connect, but that's 24 hours, Alexander. There's something about like taking a week off. Like, it's weird, man. It's weird. It's very weird. Dog Life correctly saying, when you plateau, try to change things up, new spot, try learning a new trick, fly barefooted maybe. Here's one of the other tricks that I've had for when I plateau. I will drill. I haven't done this in a long time, but I would start to do drills. Instead of just going out and just ripping balls for my whole flight session, I would force myself to just do power loops for like 2 or 3 batteries in a row, or just do Matty flips for 2 or 3 batteries in a row, or just do orbits. And like, you'll never actually spend the whole battery doing it. Like, you'll do 15 in a row, and then you'll rip balls for a while, but then you'll like, oh, I feel bad. I'm supposed to be drilling, and then you'll go back and you'll do 20 more in a row. That's the point, right? Don't beat yourselves up. Have an intent, do your best, and then move on. It's all good. But yeah, drilling specific moves is really helpful because you start to find the subtleties in the move, right? Like, we power loop a lot. In a given battery, we probably do like 5 power loops on any given battery when we're ripping balls, right? But sitting there and doing 50 of them in a row, you really figure out like the exact right time to pick up the throttle, and you really figure out why the hell you keep getting prop wash when you come down, and you figure out like, oh, let me open the throttle a little bit earlier to generate a little bit of force. That's where you start to pick up the subtleties, is when you do drills. And it's not fun, and I haven't done it in a long time, but I can tell you, it helps. For sure it helps. Go figure, right? In your life, when you've done drills, when you've studied, right? When you've practiced repetition, that's how our brains work. Scroll. Wooden props with a $19.99 super chat. Super generous, my man. We're going from 624 to 644. Say goodbye to the weed number, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to just regular old 644 so that it shortens up a little bit there. All right. Dude, thank you. He says, everyone watched the interview. Well worth your time. Very kind of you, Wooden Props. Yeah, I was... Michael initially wanted to talk to me and Johnny Five at the same time about like the business of FPV and this weird little rivalry that Johnny Five created, that I wasn't really a part of, because I'm just not a competitive person, very much on purpose. And I said to Michael, I'm like, look, man, like, I would really rather talk about mental health, because just like, I think that's a much more productive thing for us to talk about, and I know that there's more people than we imagine that are dealing with it in this hobby, and I'm so thrilled that he was willing to go that direction with it. So yeah, it's super cool for you to say that, Wooden Props. Yeah, go check it out, guys. License to Drive says you should design a nearly indestructible frame called the Battlebot. I don't like nearly indestructible frames though, man. I like my frames to break so that hopefully the motors don't blow up. HawkFPV says, is your brushless Tiny Whoop build still good? I'm thinking about going to build one. HawkFPV, it drives me insane, but Mobula 6 with the 25,000 kV motors, like that's kind of it, man. Like I've poured a bunch of time and effort into Tiny Whoop builds, and I've ended up, I do think that the newbie drone board is a little bit better, but not enough better to justify the extra work and cost and pain in the butt, man. $80 for a Mobula 6 with a 25,000 kV motors. Done. Buy two of them. Like, buying two of those, yeah, just go with that. It's just so good. And then if you want to do an Insta360 Go down the road, all you got to do is buy a Goober canopy and the bunny ears mount on Newbie Drone's website. Drop it on there, and away you go. It's just too cheap. It's too cheap, and it's just such a good deal. Buy it from GetFPV with my affiliate link if you don't mind. And then if the Happy Model board blows up right away, you can say, hey, GetFPV, can you hook me up? And they'll probably send you a new one. Maniac FPV says, I'm looking into building me a Tiny Whoop. What are your suggestions? Look at that. I killed two birds with one stone. Yeah, Mobula 6, 25,000 kV motors. Done. Newbie Drone. Make something better. How about that? Make something better with 24,000 or 25,000 kV motors. So, I don't want to recommend a Happy Model Mobula 6. I really don't. But if I recommend anything different to you guys, it wouldn't be fair to you. I have to recommend that because it's just too cheap and it's too good. Somebody make something better, please. Nobody has yet. I would love for them to. Jacob Schultz says, they use this PCTPE printed ducts, which is stupid durable, and then you run 2004 3000 kV motors on 6S, so I guess it fits your buy high kV motors. They're also really light. Oh, I didn't realize that, Jacob Schultz. I mean, they're still going to be slow. It's still going to fit with everything that I was talking about with the race Cinewhoops. They're going to be slow as dirt because they're a Cinewhoop. If they're really light, then they'll be crazy durable. And you said they use these printed ducts that are super durable. So yeah, everything I was saying is still totally valid. That's super cool. I gotta actually look that up. HawkFPV says, is your brushless Tiny Whoop build still good? I'm gonna build one. We got that. Metal Dirtson says 3-inch 100-gram spec toothpick racing. Let's make it happen. They're just not durable enough, you know? Like, you'll be bending props all the time, and it would be interesting to see. They're also, like, too fast, right? Like, spec racing is almost, not always, but a lot of times it's slower. Maniac FPV with a $10 super chat. He says, for the health of the homies. Very cool of you, brother. That's going to put us at 654. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Tiago Roma says, Cinewoop Destruction Derby. Hell yes. That's what I'm talking about. Then you got to make them really big, though, right? So that you actually have a chance of hitting each other. Hawkeye BB says, we got that. Forevermore says, bedtime for bonzos later. Oh, man. I think my mom used to say that to me, bedtime for bonzo. Hawk FPV says, we got it. Hawk FPV repeating his question quite a bit. Stop it, Hawk FPV. You gotta give people time, man. Live streamers get behind on chat because they a lot of times like to give everybody a little bit of love. You're forgiven. It's all good, but you know, for the future. Dauntless FPV says, ever since I put brushless in my car, yeah, I read that right. The Cinewoop, God damn it, YouTube. The Cinewoop car analogy doesn't work for me. Half throttle and it spins out on tarmac. What? Ever since I put brushless, Cinewoop car analogy doesn't work for me. Half throttle. Are you talking about like an RC car, Dauntless? I think Dauntless is talking about an RC car. He is. I don't know anything about RC cars. I guess brushless is like, that makes sense. Brushless is way more power, so I guess it's overpowering the RC car. Half throttle, it spins out. That's crazy. Hawkeye PV says, oh, wait, there it is again. Dustin Gable says, just jumping in to say what's up. Haven't forgotten about you. I appreciate it, Dustin. Alexander says, could have been your fault, but I now own too many Vistas. Well, Alexander, I might have just made you a ton of money. If the chip thing is real and Vistas become unavailable, maybe you could make a bunch of money. Look at me. I'm like Ciotti coin up in this bitch. Drone Pilot says, how are you, buddy? Sorry I'm late to the stream. Working on repairing an apartment. Tenants destroyed. So much damage. Ugh, that's gross, Drone Pilot. When I was unemployed in Charleston for a little while, I did apartment maintenance at the apartment that I was living at because I couldn't find like a proper career job. And yeah, it was pretty brutal. There was some nuts stuff. People, oh man, the thing that grossed me out the most was like heavy smokers. We would have to replace everything. There would be nicotine stains head to toe. It was just outrageous. Electronics engineer, stuff up soldering connections, purchased most of all flying around trees. I'm sure they are magnetic. Yeah, trees are magnetic. So true. Drone Pilot also says, I have 20 by 20 ESCs ranging from board sizing 21 by 21 to 31 with heat sinks just like the T-Motor 45 amp, which I fit into my long range 5-inch and it fits. Catalyst Machine Works frame to take it. Chris Padgett says, I've found waterproofing with conformal coating helps shit not blow up. That's interesting, Chris. I never actually thought about that. Everything for me blows up in the totally dry just from impacts. But that's very I mean, like, conformal coating, it can only possibly make your stuff more durable. It's actually a really good, that's a really good reason to conformal coat. I never conformal coat because, like, I just haven't had stuff, like, I've had my stuff get wet a lot and it's been always fine. Like, I've just never had anything blow up from it getting wet. But, like, it's not hard to do, right? Like, and it can only possibly help. So there you go. Your stuff will be waterproof and it'll potentially be more durable. Now you got two reasons to conformal, because one reason has never been enough for me. Now I've got two reasons. Maybe that'll be enough. I'm stubborn as fuck. Random FPV says penis with a 15. License to Drive says you should secretly get someone to join. You should secretly get someone to join Joshua's team to sabotage it. Hawk FPV says, oh, there he is again. Hawk FPV, holy hell! How many times did you ask that? I try to say often that I'm behind on chat so that you guys don't repeat over and over and over again. And like I kind of very obviously read like the old comments, right? It's all right. It's all good. We all make mistakes. It's totally cool. Now you know. YouTube's the thing. Now I'm having to scroll back up, of course. Hey, there we go. I'm not nearly as far behind as I once was. FPV Trucker says, had a Teco 32 that just stopped working for no reason. Have Holy Bro individual ESCs on another rig that have been good for over 2 years. So there you go. A big negative and a big plus. The Ringer says Vanover seems like such a little shit. I can say that because I'm middle-aged. Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of children. Drone Pilot says, in regards to the Caddx Vista being unavailable, isn't it the identical camera to the DJI Air unit? DJI would never let that happen. Nonetheless, I purchased Vistas and Nebula Pros. I don't think it's the camera that would be the problem. I think it's the VTX itself. But I don't know. I haven't researched it myself. Jacob Schultz says, "Oh no, it's coming up on midnight. Laughs in European 5 a.m. insomniac."
It's my birthday.
It's Kristen's birthday. Now that it's 12:01 a.m. There she is.
It's my birthday.
How old are you now?
35.
Oh, she said it.
I am 35.
She's not old enough where it's like embarrassing or whatever.
Nope.
I guess.
Do not care.
Happy birthday. Get you one that comes in when you're streaming and says it's her birthday. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say now? Get you one? That's like a thing?
Also, do you have an external battery that's charged?
Yes.
The flask is dead?
Right there.
Great. I was looking for this one. Thank you.
Yep. Are you wearing all of my clothes?
No, these are mine.
Are they really?
And these are mine. They're
Yeah.
all my clothes.
She's wearing my socks, at least. I wasn't totally wrong. I thought those were my pants.
No, Kelly gave me these ones.
All right. I'm going to wear them then.
No.
They would be down to like my knees. I've got very long legs. Kristen has very short. I have very long legs and like a normal torso. Kristen has very short legs and a very long torso for a female. So it's hysterical when we wear each other's. Although I don't really wear her clothes, that I'm willing to admit. Test Pilot ERB says the Ovonic lipos were on Amazon for $19.99, but they aren't that cheap anymore. Okay, so I did pay. I told you guys. I knew I paid $20 for them. Julian Vincent says, I do mean things to my ESCs, and all I run are the Hobbywing 60 amp on all my rigs. Nice. So Julian has good luck with them. One of the reasons why I stayed away from the Hobbywing 60 amps is they're expensive compared to the Acons. The Acon AK32 35 amp ESCs. What do you want, buddy? I was getting them for like $45 for a while there. I think those Hobbywings are like $70. They're a lot. They're expensive. Yeah, I know. It's not time yet. Soon, buddy. No. Stop it. Stop ripping up this fucking yoga mat. It's your mother's. Wooden Props says, Talon batteries are for Heli Nation. They certainly are. Wooden Props, what I was saying earlier, is that, and they asked me to not like scream this from the rafters, but Tattoo makes them for them. So they're basically a Tattoo battery for cheaper. Hawk FPV says, I'm losing my voice. That's not what Hawk FPV says. He says, is your brushless tiny whoop build still good? I think I'm going to build one. I'm gonna read it every time. That's gonna be his punishment. From now on, I'm just gonna read his copy and paste comment over and over and over again. Toxic FPV says, have you tried Red Pine on a Mob 6? I don't even know what Red Pine is. What is that, Toxic? Red Pine? I haven't heard of that. DB and says, I got thousands of flights on my Tiny Hawk 2 using 1S. It lasts forever. It landed in freshwater, saltwater. My Tiny Hawk still flies. That's pretty nuts, DB, because the Tiny Hawks have not had a great reputation for durability. They are pretty popular. See, this is the other thing too, right? Like, the Emax sells a lot of the Tiny Hawks, and very rarely do people come and go, oh, it's so great, right? But always people go, I fucking hate this thing. It just blew up on me and I spent $100 and something. So, like, it's hard, right? Because, like, once a product becomes popular, there's going to be more, just naturally, there's going to be more people shitting all over it. So, yeah. That's awesome that you had that experience, DB. My very first rig was an Emax rig, and it was super durable. But yeah, it's hard, man. Getting a feel for durability with stuff is really, really difficult. DB And also says, did you ever watch Ernest Worrell back in the day? Ernest P. Worrell back in the day. No, I don't even recognize that name. Ernest P. Worrell? Is that like Ernest? Okay, no. I was actually not allowed to watch Ernest. There was a lot of things I wasn't allowed to do. Like, I wasn't allowed to have like toy guns. My mother was a touch overprotective. So like she didn't like me watching sketchy shit. Not sketchy shit, but like gross stuff. How about that? She wanted better for me, right? Like more I don't know, intellectual kind of stuff for me. So I wasn't allowed to watch Ernest. I had to sneak watch like MTV, stuff like that, like Beavis and Butthead. Hell no, I had to sneak watch that. Wasn't allowed to have toy guns. I might be the same way if I were planning on ever having a child. Who knows? It's tough, right? Like, you want to protect them, but at the same time, you gotta let them live life. I don't know. I feel weird about taking on that responsibility. And it's one of the reasons that I don't really have any plans of having children. Maybe that'll change as I get older and older, but I just think it's a crazy responsibility, and I don't think there is a right answer. I don't know. That's a hell of a tangent to get on, though. It's 12:06. Get off that tangent, you lunatic. Toxic FPV with a $12 super chat. He says, do it for the devil. Are we going to get this? Oh, I think he might have done that when we were closer to 6. Oh, no, that does. There it is. I was thinking of the weed number. 666. I'm just going to trust that that's the right math. There it is. Nobody else do super chats because we want to embrace the devil for as long as possible. KVFPV says, F Nylon, tried 3D printing some ducts for my Cinesplorer that's coming out soon, but they just won't work. I guess PETG will do for now. Yeah, man, I like those molded cloud ducts. I know they don't have great performance, but I don't care. I don't put ducts on for performance. Like, we have motors and propellers that have plenty of performance for Cinewhoops. The ducts are there, in my opinion, to keep people's fingers from being chopped off and to slow the rig down. And the cloud ducts do an amazing job of that, and they're very lightweight. They're molded, they're thin, so they're lightweight, which helps with maneuverability. They're nice and tall, which helps slow the rig down because they're a big, the rig is flying and it's a big, tall surface, and that's going to push air all over the place to naturally slow it down. So I'm a big fan. Dauntless says, upgraded RC car. It's sick. YouTube just did the thing. And then he says it spins out half throttle off-road tires and it's all drive. Oh my God. B-Man says, just a spoiler alert, Hawkset has said the same thing for an hour and a half. Thanks, B-Man. Drone Pilot says, I kept my Beta FPV batteries in great condition. Then girlfriend's daughter learned to fly line of sight, killed them all. So now I have to get new ones. 1S 300 mAh lipos. You got to get the newbie drone golds. They're just gnarly. Yes, they're expensive, but they are. You will take off and be like, oh, that's why they're $7 per. Like, they're that good, dude. You got to do it. Drone Pilot conformal coats everything. Beauty is dirt and moisture don't settle on stuff, so nothing blows up random. However, downside is heat doesn't escape as easily. So overrate the ESCs. That's interesting. Dauntless says, Vanover is a child. He was also married as of last week, so he seems to be, so he does seem annoying, but congrats to him. Dauntless says, happy birthday. Hey, there's a bunch of happy birthdays. Ed K tagging me as well. Lots and lots and lots and lots of happy birthdays. Thanks, guys. DB Ann says, what freestyle 5-inch frame can fit a Rush tank solo? I can't fit it in my spec, man. I have no idea, DB Ann. I can't fit it in my Apex is what he meant to say. Wow, Apex has a lot of room. If you can't fit it in an Apex, I have no idea. Now I really don't know. You're going to have to just get like measurements, man. You're going to have to get measurements and bug the... do this, DB, and FPV in general is small enough that none of these manufacturers should be ignoring you if you message them on Facebook or email them. Get the size of that Rush Tank Solo. Do them that favor. Don't just message them and say, hey, will your frame fit a Rush Tank Solo? Because if you do that, then they might just be like, oh, I don't know, because it's more work for them, right? Get the measurements of the Rush Tank Solo and message these manufacturers and say, hey, either, if it were me, I would shop their website to find the frame that I like the most that might fit the damn thing. And then I would message them just to take the work away from them, right? Take as much work off of their plate as possible so that you can say to them, hey, I've got a VTX that's this size and I'm interested in this frame of yours. Will it fit? Then they don't have a lot of work to do, right? And that's going to be more, you know what I'm saying. I would do that. Family Guyver says, hey, my birthday is March 9th. I'm 42. Hey, nice. Happy birthday, Family Guyver. Ed K says, better keep her, man. I'm trying, brother. Jacob Schultz says, I run Diatone Mamba ESCs on all my rigs. 3 have blown up. All 3 have been my fault. The ones I didn't blow up, being a dumbass, have been bulletproof for me. Thanks for the details, Jacob Schultz. That is how you leave a review of an item right there. Private Island says, Debbie says, happy birthday too. Jordan Pilot says, man, you're catching up on chat. DBN says, what makes KISS FC fly so stable? Nothing. It really doesn't. There's nothing magic about KISS. There's a lot of people that buy into the hype. It's just a PID controller. If you want the KISS experience from Betaflight, all you have to do is turn everything off in Betaflight. KISS hasn't really changed since like 2019. Betaflight has. So yeah, turn all of the extra amazing features that Betaflight has added since 2019 off, and Betaflight will fly exactly like KISS. There's no magic. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there isn't. The KISS electronics are much more expensive, and here on Earth, you get what you pay for. So the electronics are a little bit better quality. That's a fact. If you buy a KISS electronic and you look at it with a 5X loop, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's beautiful. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense to spend that much money on electronics that we're going to smash into brick walls and get prop strikes on and just generally abuse. So that's why I go with much less expensive, right? Because the use case that we've got, oh, God damn it. I hate when I use jargon like that. But the way that we use our rigs is brutal, and it just doesn't make sense to me to spend that much money. Jump on my channel here, DB, and look around, look at my edited flight videos. My gear flies pretty damn good. I spent 2 months only flying a KISS rig that I built from scratch, and it was quite a bit worse than my Betaflight rigs. It couldn't control bounce back because it doesn't have iTerm relax. It couldn't control vibrations nearly as well because it doesn't have RPM filtering. It couldn't handle arm dips as well because it doesn't have anti-gravity. These are all of the things that you need to turn off to get the KISS experience with Betaflight. These are also things that make Betaflight rigs fly a lot better, and you can fly them a lot more. But my biggest issue with KISS was that because of the fact that it can't handle vibrations as well, I had to constantly replace motors and propellers. If you don't crash, then that's not an issue for you. There are certain people that never crash, and for those people, KISS works really well. You can almost compare KISS to like a Ferrari, right? Where like it's way more expensive and it's way more finicky. Well, with a Ferrari, it does perform better. KISS doesn't really perform better. But yeah, a lot of hype around KISS and zero data that supports that hype. Mark Spatz is going to have something pretty damning coming out soon about all of this. He built a rig with a KISS flight controller, and I hope he doesn't. So this is kind of Patreon only content. So shh. But he built a rig. Join Mark Spatz's Patreon. Mark Spatz's UAV Tech. He built a rig with a KISS flight controller and a Betaflight flight controller. and he put an open logger on that rig and back-to-backed it, and there's nothing going on with KISS. There are certain pilots that fly KISS that are unbelievable pilots. So when they fly, it kind of looks like KISS flies really good, but those pilots fly really good, right? Yeah, there's no magic there. If you have the money and you want to kind of buy into the hype, awesome. When I was flying KISS, it made me feel like I was a better pilot. But then when I would watch the footage, I was constantly disappointed. And for me, a lot of this is about getting like really awesome footage and then like being really proud of that and editing that. And Betaflight straight up produces better footage because it has all of these extra features that have been added since 2019 that handle bad behaviors, bounce back, arm drops, filtering for less jello. The better filtering with RPM filtering also allows you to beat the hell out of the quad and just keep flying. With my KISS rig, it was like, oh, I banged up a motor. That's it for the day. I'm going home. Whereas with the Betaflight rigs, it's just like, oh, I just smashed into that brick wall at 90 miles an hour. Just bend the prop back. It's fine. No jello in the... That's what I did today. The footage that you watched at the beginning of this stream, that was like 6 batteries deep. The propellers were like on fire. The motors were making the worst noises I've ever heard. Could you guys tell? Did it sound like the rig? Did it look like the rig was completely banged up beyond belief? I'd bent both front propellers back at least 6 times. Can't do that with KISS. Do you want to be able to fly a lot? Fly Betaflight. Rob Exison says you'll be caught up when you're done. That's true. God damn it, Larry. YouTube did the thing. I shouldn't be that far behind though. Family Guyver says no TP for your Bungholio. I was able to sneak watch a good amount of Beavis and Butthead. B-Man says, oh my god, the Newbie Joe Nitro Nectar Gold 300 mAh are amazing batteries. They really are. The 250s are really good too. KVFPV says DBN, the Solo is pretty much the same size as the Ultimate Plus. Oh, you guys are talking about VTXs. Okay, I don't know those VTXs really all that well. I fly Immersion RC Tramp HVs because they're $30 and they've been amazing. DBN says, how would you tune a 5-inch freestyle rig to fly through a house on acro as if it were a tiny hawk like Steele did in his house tour video? What would you do to tune indoor 5-inch home flying? The only way to really do that, DBN, is to start flying 6 years ago and fly the same rigs over and over and over again for those 6 years and to fly a lot. I'm talking like a lot. You got to fly more than any other pilot. That is the only way to do what he did there. It has nothing to do with setup. It has nothing to do with really anything other than him being arguably the best freestyle pilot in the world. Yeah, the only thing that you could do there's nothing you can do with the tune. Tuning just doesn't do that. Tuning makes a rig not have bad behaviors like prop wash, like arm drops, like all these other things, right? It won't do anything to make a rig fly better in certain situations. It'll just make a rig not do bad behaviors. Literally, like that's it. That is the only reason to tune, is to get rid of bad flight behaviors. The only way to make a rig fly better in a house in like a really condensed space like that is to lighten it up or to add ducts. Adding ducts will slow it down, and then lightening it up will make it not carry its momentum as much. But yeah, those two things like kind of can't really do. I guess you could lighten it up. I guess you could run a really small battery. So yeah, there's your answer. Run the smallest battery possible. Is really the only thing to help with that, because you really can't put ducts on a 5-inch rig. Toxic FPV says, forgot to tag you above. Red Pine is a low latency protocol for SPI receivers on AIO boards like Crazy Bee FR Sky version, 1 to 4 milliseconds latency. That's pretty cool. Huh, that's pretty cool. I'll Toxic, can you do me a favor and shoot me a link somewhere about that? Because I'm going to forget. I'm about to go relax and then go to sleep for the night. Hey, look at that. I sent you a link on Discord. Just turned it on Mob 6 tonight. We'll be trying it out tomorrow. Very cool. Toxic FPV. Great minds think alike, I've been told. Drone Pilot says, I'm waiting for you to say... And with that comment concludes this chat. Thanks for being here. Midnight, Sadie's birthday. Mrs. Ciotti's birthday has been great. Stay safe and da-da-da. Dauntless says, Kristen is de-aging. She is still 44 here. Private Island says 42 is the answer to life, universe, and everything. Drone Pilot says, talking about RPM filtering, iNav has unicorn filter and a large rig performs better now without RPM filtering on. I'm like, what the hell is this magic? It's a damn unicorn indeed. Spatz was talking about that. I think basically what he said is that they didn't implement RPM filtering properly, maybe, which would make sense. RPM filtering is something that was a big project between Betaflight and BL Heli. So yeah, I don't know, maybe subscribe to UAV Tech for more on that, because I know he was just talking about it. DBN says, why are people excited for variable PWM frequency and when is it coming out? Betaflight 4.3. So it won't have anything to do with Betaflight. It'll be a BL Heli release. People are excited for it because lower PWM frequencies provide more engine motor braking, and motor braking is very important for fixing bad behaviors, like when you go full throttle and then you chop the throttle and you don't do anything with the right stick, the quad bobbles because you've got the propellers working as hard as they possibly can, creating all this thrust, and then you go zero throttle and they stop, and there's something called backflow that goes over the propellers, and it creates instability on the propellers. And at zero throttle, the PID loop can only really use positive thrust, and when you're zero throttle, they have the least possible positive thrust. So the lower the PWM frequency, the more braking torque, which in that flight situation is really important. But 48 kilohertz, higher PWMs, let's say, they perform better everywhere else. Like the motors run smoother, they make more power, they're more efficient. So the variable PWM will allow us, hopefully, to have a lower PWM in the situations where we want more motor braking, but a higher PWM where we want more horsepower and efficiency. Scroll. YouTube's the thing again. License to Drive says, yeah, and you don't need the latest and greatest Betaflight with its bells and whistles to have a great flying quad. So true. My Emax Hawk 5s are running Betaflight 3.2.2 and fly so smooth. So true. I mean, guys, look at my micro, right? Micros were a disaster 3-4 years ago. Go look at some of my micro edits from 3 or 4 years ago. They flew great because I put a good tune. I learned how to tune, and I tuned them well. Like, properly tuned rigs fly really good. In the last 2 or 3 years, Betaflight has introduced some stuff that allow you to be more, in the grand scheme of things, anti-gravity, feed forward, RPM filtering, I-term relax. They do fix bad behaviors, but they also allow you to beat the hell out of your rig more and to fly rigs that are more beat up. So that's really the big difference between old Betaflight and KISS, Flight 1 also to some extent, and current day Betaflight. The cool thing is, you can just, if you decide that you don't like all that stuff, or if you just want that nostalgic old school flight experience, turn it off in Betaflight. Done. Good to go. Leave RPM filtering on though, because there's no bad effects to that, and it's really game-changing stuff. Dauntless FPV almost got rear-ended on our bikes with stupid GTI, atrocious red stripe on an obnoxious wing. Walking to my lunch today, I saw it. I have pics of the plates on my phone. Karma. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, Dauntless, which allows you to do a lot of things. Don't get caught. No, I'll be an adult and a good public persona and say, don't do anything. Just call the police and tell them that he was driving like a dick. And then if the police see him, they'll be more driven to pull him over. I think that's what I'm supposed to say as an adult, right? Last 3 comments of the night because my voice is going. And it is past midnight. Joseph S. says, so normally the motor just keeps PWM frequency constant but reduces power. How does this differ from normal ESC performance? Yes. So like when you set your PWM frequency, it doesn't change. And then as you move the throttle up and down, the ESC sends more or less power to the motors. I don't know how to answer the question, how does this differ from normal ESC performance? PWM frequency is completely separate from the amount of power being sent. PWM frequency has to do with how often it's like the loop time, like how fast is the ESC cycling. I can't explain how an ESC works at 12:25 a.m. But there's lots of ESC info on YouTube and Google. You can probably watch a video or 2 and learn more than I know about it. Dauntless says, is variable PWM what KISS does? It is not. I heard their ESCs do something a little different. Yeah, it's not. I used to know what their ESCs do different. Mark was talking about that recently as well. And it doesn't seem like it's magic. DQ says, last comment of the night, is UAV Tech going to release a YouTube video about KISS versus Betaflight logging? They are. Or is it just for Patreon? Yeah, there's going to be something coming out that's going to be public. But you should join this Patreon anyway because it's a couple dollars a month. I know that you've got a couple bucks a month and you're going to be supporting somebody that is going to save you tons of money. Think about it in that way, right? And he's going to get your stuff flying better for you. And there's all kinds of cool stuff going on his Patreon. It's well worth $1 or $2 or $3 a month. I'm a sucker. I'll read a couple more. Joan Pilot says, Basher 7 inches, Betaflight, sympathy, performance, stability, long range are all INAV. He also says, thanks for the stream. You've been great, and I find it amazing that you take so much effort in answering us. Dauntless says, that idiot has been speeding all over the city. I've seen it at least 3 times. There we go. That's it. Here's some more flying from today. This was, if I remember correctly, this was a pretty bomb battery here. Or no, wait, was it fire? Is that what the kids say? So here's a fire battery from today at the stables. I think this is the one where I was pretty dialed in. Oh boy.
Anger.
Hold on. We'll get you guys some little soundtrack action to this. I'll see you patrons tomorrow because I stream every day for the Patreon folks. Here we go. Should I play something that's epic and dreamy? Let me see. Nah, it's not gonna fit this flying. Maybe this will. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the stuff. Here you guys go. I'll see somebody tomorrow.